Hi everyone, I am Anonymous Traveler. Today, I will talk about one of the techniques to trigger deviation to communal reality. By the way, this technique is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft and other writers who have used dream as a method to write a story. Instead of just writing a story, some writers, time to time, let their dream carry the story to the unknown destination, and that involves alternative universes and realities. As I discussed before, we share communal reality. Although this world is not solid or stable, yet most people experience this world and its reality as solid and stable. And most people believe this world is the only existing reality. And I have lectured on the issues of communal reality along with techniques to trigger deviation from it. But before I get into today's technique, I have to address something. As long as we have a physical body, we cannot completely avoid the law and the mechanisms of communal reality. One of the key goals of spiritual alchemy is waking up from this communal reality. But even if you glimpsed into the reality beyond our communal reality, it does not make you invincible. Even the most advanced level of occultist have to face the demise of a physical body. Yes, you can prolong your lifespan and you can do many miraculous things once you reach the stage of the master of the outer void. But even those cannot ignore certain physical limitations, including physical death. The final goal of spiritual alchemy is, after physical death, either coming back to the manifested universe as one of the secondary gods, or becoming the one with the God of unmanifestation, who has never created any of universes. If you choose the second option, you will never come back to this world of manifestation. In other words, you will cross the flood of becoming and stop becoming altogether. By the way, getting access to these two different choices is the highest development of spiritual alchemy. But even at this level, one must endure physical death one more time. I had to address this issue because there are many people who are into alchemy and occult science believing that they don't have to deal with the scientific spectrum of existence. But my approach has always been twofold. For the realization of the great work, one needs to pay attention to not only spiritual aspect of our existence, but also physical aspect based on science. Anyway, what I am going to discuss today has to do with multiverse or alternative universes. Our universe is not the only universe. There are many different versions of us existing in other universes, and there are techniques to use their existence to trigger a deviation in our life. Our mind is structured to follow a certain patterns of data processing, and I would like to describe it as electronic circuit board with specific imprint. This specific imprint dictates the direction of data flow of our experience. And since we humans have the same data flow patterns imprinted in our mind, it creates a communal reality. And one of the key goals of spiritual alchemy is to go beyond this imprint and see and understand what is beyond the normal capacity. And the technique that I will discuss today is designed for that. Although our conscious mind only deals with this current version of reality and the universe, there is a small window that opens up to the other reality. It opens up time to time during the sleep. Sometimes in your dreams, your alternative self shows up, experiencing alternative universes in your dreams. One of the best examples is H.P. Lovecraft and his writings. Lovecraft was an atheist and he was a man of science. However, he had a lot of vivid dreaming, and it became the source of many of his fantastic stories featuring forgotten gods from ancient time. It is very likely that Lovecraft in this universe was an atheist and Lovecraft in another universe was not. My theory is this alternative universe's Lovecraft was a mystic and visionary who sees the visions of the elder gods continuously. And through dreams, our world's Lovecraft experienced all the wonders and the terrors of forgotten gods through the eyes of other versions of himself from another universe. So, in a way, Lovecraft experienced some deviation from communal reality as well. But he was not an occultist or spiritual alchemist in this world and never trained himself in this direction. So although he had experienced some form of deviation from other realities, he never developed his mental capacities in our world because he was basically a non-believer. Anyway, this technique is basically channeling an alternative story for one of the books you have read. Choose one of the books that you read already. At first, it is better to choose a relatively simple story-based book. However, once you became good with this technique, you can actually choose more complex books such as a history book. When you choose a history book, basically you are channeling an alternative history. And this technique should be used before going to bed. From the book of your choice, you choose a moment of the book that determine the direction of the story based on the decision of the main character. Then you make a different decision than the main character in the book. After you made a different decision, then go to bed thinking about that decision. Before you falling into a sleep, visualize a movie screen in a theater. Picture the moment of your alternative decision on the screen. Then, while holding that image in your mind, jumping into a sleep. In your dream, try to see what is going on the screen following the decision you made before you go to bed. Remember that with this technique, you are not trying to use your imagination. Instead, you are trying to channel the alternative versions of reality. Upon waking up, immediately write down what you saw on a note, and this note will be your journal of alternative stories. The next day, read the story unfolded in the dream. Then, before going to bed, focus on the last part of the story that you saw from the dream. Then, picture the last part onto the movie screen, then jump into a sleep while holding the image of the screen in your mind. Again, in your dream, try to see what is showing on the screen afterward. Upon waking up, immediately write down what you saw on the journal of alternative stories. So this way, you are slowly channeling a story night by night based on alternative decision you made. Once you became good with this technique, you can choose a history book, and is where this technique really shines. Channeling an alternative history from another version of the universe is a great technique to trigger deviation on one's life. Triggering deviation is basically a process of using a different pathway on the mental circuit board. Mental circuit board itself has endless possible pathways, but we have this already imprinted pattern which limit our perception and the mental capacity. And there are various triggers causing deviations from communal reality. If you are interested, please go over my previous lectures where I discussed other techniques. Thanks for listening, and all the best.